As I'm getting older, chip upon my shoulder, rolling through life, you roll over and die. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
Hey guys, it's Streed, and today I'm going to be reviewing Dying Room Only. This had been on my calorific watch list for a long time now, and while I can't really remember how I discovered it, the premise intrigued me, and the fact that it was written by the legendary Richard Matheson prompted me even further to watch it. So, at 5 a.m. with nothing to do, I switched it on. It's a real shame this film has been so forgotten. It exemplifies Matheson's writing prowess. Put into the hands of a lesser filmmaker or writer, I could definitely see this film being unbearably boring. But Matheson does what he does best and makes even the most simplest string of events tense and uncomfortable. Right from the beginning, something feels off, and the film's tension just builds and builds. I can see how this can be mistaken as an exploitation film, but it's really more of a visceral suspense thriller, and even though barely anything happens, the film is never boring. This is mainly due to the excellent casting. This is probably Cloris Leachman's greatest performance. Her character Jenny Mitchell also heavily reminded me of Dennis Weaver's performance as David Mann. She just exudes nervousness and fear. Her acting outshines everyone else, really, and they aren't bad either. You really feel bad for her being constantly gaslighted and psychologically tormented by these creepy bastards. Speaking of which, the villains here are very unsettling. For the majority of the runtime, you aren't sure of their true motives until the end, when we learn that this is a conspiracy of bandits who kill and rob people. It's also implied that they've been doing this for quite a while in the scene where Jenny talks with the sheriff. They admittedly aren't the most fleshed out antagonists, but they're still quite frightening, and the physical acting by the two is impeccable. They say a lot with just their expressions alone. Jim is the more quiet one with a boiling temper, and Tom seems to be the leader of the whole operation, putting on a facade of friendliness, but you can tell he's reveling in this poor woman's suffering. There's also Lou and this other lady, but they aren't in the film that much. You know, I just realized this, but I can't help but wonder if this film partially inspired Vacancy. They're executed very differently, but the plots are remarkably similar, with an operations of sickos out in the middle of nowhere, trapping unsuspecting passers-by. I also really love this film's score. I can understand how some might find it a little irritating or even disorienting, but I think the disorienting nature of the score adds to the film's nightmarishness. My one and only flaw would probably have to be the film's rushed conclusion. It would have been nice to see Jenny blast those reprobates to hell, but instead, Tom's shot for some reason, and Jenny quickly keeps them at bay until the police arrive. Afterwards, she calls her children, and the film just sorta ends. Overall, Dying Room Only may have a simplistic premise, but its characters, disquieting atmosphere, and solid writing make it all worthwhile. If you're keen on gritty 70s slow-burn suspense thrillers with a cozy dash of television production quality, this one's not to be missed. 9 out of 10.